So I've been thinking about how I'm going to say this for a while now. I'm stepping back from my business. And no, it's not because it's failing. It's doing 30K a month and it's basically running without me at this point. I built the system, handed it off, and now moving on to the next thing. I'm 20 years old. And to be honest with you, running it wasn't something that I genuinely cared about anymore. What I cared about, what I've always been obsessed with, is understanding how to let a business grow. Like, why are some coaches at 50,000 followers and only making 10 to 15K a month? And others with half the audience does triple the amount that they're currently doing. It doesn't make sense. I spent a year and a half deep inside the sales operations. Setter, closer, setter manager, growth op, you name it, I've probably done it. I helped a business starting from 15K a month when I first joined, all the way to 110K a month in just 6 months. Over $1 million in revenue in just a single year at the age of 19, and collecting millions of dollars in other client revenue. And for some reason, in all of this, I figured out that there's something that nobody ever talks about. So that's what this video is. I'm not selling anything to you, I'm not pitching anything, but I just want to get this out because I feel like so many people are lost and so many people are just leaving money on the table with a big audience and don't know how to convert. If you're an online coach doing 10 to 20K a month and you have 20, 30, 40,000 followers inside Instagram, or multiple thousand subscribers inside YouTube, this is probably the most important video you're gonna watch this year. You have an audience, you post consistently, you get the engagement, you reach the people that actually want to join your coaching business, and yet your close rate is embarrassing. You don't book enough calls. The people that you book in aren't even qualified. And the ones that are actually qualified in ICP come with hundreds of objections to the sales calls. And you tried fixing it. You hired a setter, and then the setter failed, you blame the setter. You hired a sales management, they did the management, they failed, you blame the manager. Then you fix up the frameworks when the closing is shit. And it just leads to the same number. Here's what nobody else is going to tell you. You don't have a sales problem. You don't have a perception problem. And once you realize this, it's gonna change everything for you. And until you understand that, nothing else moves. Honestly, the way this industry actually thinks about content is generally broken. You take a look at the funnels, top of funnel content, middle of funnel content, bottom of funnel content, nail your hooks, make sure your audience is good, take a look at your engagement. And the coaches that have a massive following are exactly that. You've built your following up, cool. Posting every day, hitting every single funnel stage and doing everything right on paper, and yet you're still making 15K a month because all of it lacks intention. Content without intention is just noise. It doesn't matter how many times you post, it doesn't matter how good your hooks are or how aesthetic your videos are. If the person watching your piece of content isn't leaving the actual video learning something or feeling a specific way, you've wasted the post. Like, think about what your personal brand actually is. It's not your content, it's not how many follows you have or how many likes or how many viral videos you have. It's the perception that your audience has on you. And that perception honestly dictates how warm your audience actually is. How much trust they carry into the DMs. Would they actually buy from you? Do they actually think that you're an authority? I know most coaches are probably posting to look credible because they saw another piece of content ripped for another creator. I've posted probably 15 reels in the month of January when I hit that 30K month. Because you see, it is inputs that you do beforehand that leads to the record month, not technically the inputs that you're currently doing, right? These inputs stack. The content that you built out, the ecosystem that you built out, they all stack to increase your perception and the value they create with your brand. Because at the end of the day, the content ecosystem is meant to only do 4 things. Bring people in, warm up your audience, build trust and nurture, and increase the quality of your leads or sell. That's it. That's only 4 things. And you can't nail that down, then you're not doing your job. If you can't tell me what's the intention and what's the idea and what you want the audience to feel like with every single post that you've done or about to post, it's doing none of them. Edelman in 2019, one of the most respected research firms in the world, said that 81% of consumers rely and make their buying decision based off trust. And in the online coaching space, that is probably much, much higher because your buyers have been burnt before. They probably bought different mentors and they got burnt. They've probably bought into mentors that disappeared when they got their transfer in. They've seen the income screenshots, the lifestyle posts, the information videos, the testimonials. And obviously now their default is skepticism. The market's trust is at an all-time low, which means the coaches who win right now aren't the people with the best VSL, the best sales funnel, or the best slickest closer. No, it's the people who already have trust within the audience that they currently have. You see, when trust is low, every sales call is a negotiation. Every price is an objection. Anything that your closer brings up, it's like having an uphill battle every single day. When trust is high, people get on calls and they don't have any objections. You know, the call is just a confirmation, a formality. The person actually shows up having decided that they are willing to make a change that day. Same closer, same offer, same price. Just a completely different conversation. And to be honest with you, that's the ecosystem that you have to make before the actual sales call that leads to this result. And you're either creating that right now or destroying it. Let me tell you a moment about how exactly I figured this out. I was 19, working inside a fitness coaching B2B scaling offer. And I was the appointment setter, booking calls every single day, going through the leads and making sure that I knew every single thing about the offer because I was willing to learn. And for a while, that system was working. At a certain point, it stopped moving where we wanted it to move. It was like a bad month, the close rate dropped, and we genuinely didn't know why. It was the same closer, offer holder as a closer, same system, same content systems, that we just don't know what was actually changing. Like on paper, the pipeline was filled. I think we've never had more leads inside our pipeline. So in the beginning, what we did was like what everybody else would do. We took a look at the setter, we took a look at the sales calls, the frameworks, changed the frameworks, changed the DM process, see what new funnel that we can implement, the Typeform funnel or a new landing page to actually try to figure out what was wrong. But none of that worked. Then we stopped and we asked the question, what were the competitors doing? What were they doing so much better than us that led them to more PIF rates, led them to higher closing rate percentages? And what we figured out was it wasn't so much about the actual sales process or the funnel that we're running, but it was the perception of our brand that we had. So we went back, we took a look at the previous closes and see exactly what led these leads to a close. We filled out onboarding sheets, asked some questions and did our market research. And what we ended up seeing was the people who closed, they weren't being sold on a call, no. They closed because they've been consuming the content and they have a perception of the actual offer holder that they already had even before the sales call. They've seen enough proof, they've seen enough client testimonials, enough information to see him as an authority, and he fucked with the actual offer holder, as a person. Then we looked at why the other people weren't closing. We saw they were in the pipeline for not as long. They didn't trust the actual offer holder as much. But they had the same results, same engagements, same following, same type of person, same demographic, but there was only one thing that was different: how long they'd been in the sales pipeline, and also how nurtured they are. That's when it clicked. The problem is that you're building the buying state before the sales call, or it's making your closers' jobs really, really impossible. So I stopped looking at the sales process forward, instead started taking a look backwards. Close first, then build backwards. I call it the reverse close method. And when we built the business around it, we went from 15K a month to 6-figure months in just 6 months. Over $1 million in revenue in a single year. Not because we found a better closer, not because we found a better setter or the best manager or a perfect script, because we fixed what the audience was feeling, what the leads were feeling, even before they touched onto our DMs. Let me get specific, because I know in this space, we just throw numbers around and we don't actually give substance to what they actually mean. When I come into the business, I don't take a look at a specific metric like setter performance. I take a look at these 5 things. 1, close rate. Are the people getting on calls actually closing? And are they warm enough to actually close? 2, AOV. How much are you actually collecting inside the sales call at the end of every single close? What is the perceived value of your actual audience to your business? 3, qualified booking calls. Out of every single book call that you have, you can be having 3 book call a day for the next month, but if none of them are qualified, it's bullshit. 4, conversation to book call rate. So how many conversations does the setter have or you have that leads and result into a book call? 5, show up rate. How many of these calls in terms of your actual DM setting process are getting booked on and they actually show up? And then we can tell whether that's a post-booking process or a content process, right? These 5 metrics. Here's what these 5 numbers actually reveal, right? People are optimizing for the wrong thing. More outbound, more DMs, more book calls, more volumes. That's what sales closers, sales managers, and basically every single operator tells you to do. Right? But it's bullshit, because volume without quality is just burning your audience. You're just rinsing through them and then you're creating more burnt leads than you ever before. Like your setter can be booking in 30 people this month, right? But if 20 of them are unqualified, it's not a setter problem, it's about a filtration problem within your actual sales process. The businesses that I've seen scale consistently are the ones that are not running 100 conversations a day, some 10 to 15. and yet they focus on prioritizing the conversations that they're having, so every single one results in some cash collected. The content does the filtering, the DMs does the confirmation, and the sales call is just there to collect the payment. If your content isn't filtering, if your setter isn't qualifying, and your closer is just there to sell, then you're doing 3 jobs in just 1 sales call, where you could be doing this way before the actual call. That makes it easier for you or for your closer. That's why close rates stay low even when the closer is good. And when I run those 5 numbers on a business, when you fall back and see back enough, you're gonna start to realize it's always the same thing. It's not the volume, it's not the script, but it's an intention between every single touch point inside your funnel. Are people watching and thinking and saying, this person gets it. This is a person that I fuck with. I love his content. I love him. This person is the obvious choice. Because interesting doesn't book calls. What books calls is certainty. Uncertainty comes from a very specific combination of things, layered into your sales process over time. Authority, trust, belief, and social proof. Not posted randomly, but sequenced intentionally together with the DMs to ensure the nurturing process, to build an undeniable connection with every single lead even before you get onto a call. There's buyers that only need one more conversation to get sold. That's not something a sales manager teaches you. That's not something a sales script teaches you. And honestly, most of the biggest guys in the space don't even know what I'm talking about because they've only lived one part of this. The closer who sees every single problem as a sales problem. The content person who thinks every single problem is a content problem. Or the same with the setter thinking that everything that's wrong is inside the DMs. I've lived every single part of it. Setter, growth op, setter manager, closer. I've set in the DMs and I know when a lead is warm. I've managed sales teams and understand where the actual sales structure falls apart and why. I've looked at content strategies and traced how a drip in close rate was affected by an authority issue in the last 3 weeks of content. I see the whole chain. And what I see almost universally is that these businesses that are making 10 to 20K a month with audiences 10 times or 20 times bigger than what I have is just leaving money on the table because they don't know what to do. Because the content isn't doing the job even before the sales process actually starts. I'm not making this video to pitch you, like I said before. It's just I keep seeing the same things repeated over and over and over again, and nobody is saying it clearly. Smart people, real audiences, good offers. No doubt in that. Stuck at the same number and only getting advice from a person who only sees one side of the problem. As I said before, I'm transitioning. I'm now searching for a small number of coaches that I can work with directly to install the reverse close method into their business. We do an audit of your full business and see where trust is actually breaking down. Fix it from the close backwards. Not a course, not a group call channel or a Slack channel with different types of resources. Me inside your business, your specific chain, your specific funnels. If you're doing 10 to 20K a month and you think you have an audience that should be converting a lot better, check the link down below. Book a call with me. I'll look at your numbers. I'll see exactly what's wrong with your funnel and show you where the break is. No pressure. If it's not the right fit for you, I'll just tell you straight. But if you're not at that point yet, that's fine. Just follow the channel. Everything I put out in this channel is going to be in one main idea. Obviously, documenting my journey, telling stories, and your audience is deciding whether or not to buy from you long before they even get onto the DMs. The question is whether you're building that on purpose or leaving it to chance. And most people are leaving it to chance and still wondering why their close rate is exactly where it is. I'll see you in the next one.